Hello, welcome back to the Cash Practice Solution. I'm your host, Dr. J, and our last episode, we got deep into the patient relationship and how insurance practices versus cash practices influence all of that. Today, we're going to look at the three pillars of the doctor-patient relationship: the patient story, empowerment through shared decision-making, real shared decision-making, not faux, and unrestricted care without any third-party interference. I really love this because I think if you understand how to build a patient relationship and how important it is and the power of it, you're going to just make this kind of a real center of your thinking, because it'll change everything. People want to be known. They want to be cared for. They want to be loved. All of that stuff. And you can do that as their care provider. You can do it. So let's start with the central pillar. This holds everything up, the patient story. So yeah, the history part of the H&P. Everybody who's trained in medicine knows the grind of doing H&Ps, where you just get all of that dumped on you. And it used to be just an incredible hassle. When I got trained a million years ago, we'd have to do sometimes 10 a day. And it took like an hour. So what used to be a grind is now easy with intelligent technology that simulates the face-to-face interview, and it does an excellent job of screening, just like a really experienced expert in the entire spectrum of medicine. That's available. There's technology like that. In the past, people would do their intake paperwork almost never happily. And typically too many times. They'd have to do it again and again. It'd be finished, and then it would get dumped in the back of some file cabinet or drawer, and nobody would ever look at it because it was just kind of a requirement that has to be in there. And it's not necessary. Now, brilliant software integrates the intake interview into the EMR, into the electronic record, so that doing that history process that used to take an hour, and it's just repetitive and grinding and helpful, no doubt, important. But with technology, you can cut that down to 10% of the time. So 90% of that work is done with the patient and technology, and it's presented to you so you can use it as a screen and get all of that done in 10% of the time. It's beautiful. Our practitioners, they do a complete, really thorough new patient intake interview in less than 20 minutes. When I first started, it took me about 2 hours to do a functional medicine interview. And 2 Excedrin, because I would get a headache from doing it. It drove me crazy. Now, armed with a complete health history and all the details, before you actually see the patient face-to-face, it helps you focus so that you're on target for what does the patient really need. You're not spending a lot of time with screening questions that are negative. Those are all done for you. So saving this time makes connecting on the personal level way smoother and really efficient, because the data, which is absolutely critical, is just one part of the story. You have to have it. It's really important. It has to be gathered, but it doesn't have to be you. See, the part that has to be you is the empathy, the eye contact, and listening. And when you do that, you've got some more stuff to do. You've got the 45 minutes left to complete the physical and the treatment plan. So connecting with the patient, eye to eye, person to person, hearing their story, kind of feeling it, what's going on with the patient, you can get that done. And if you get really good at this process, the data's collected, that 90%, you take that, you look at the screening, do your 10% of personal interview, and then during the physical exam, you can continue to do that. As you're doing a physical, probably anybody with experience knows you're just not silent when you do that. You talk and listen and have an interaction. And even during the treatment plan, you can have an interaction and talk and say, hey, I've got some ideas. I think possibly you would really do well on a program that would include some vitamin D3 and K2 because you have a family history. You do have a family history, right? Isn't that correct? Those kinds of things. And if you want to talk about a precious commodity or a rare gift, undistracted listening, it almost never happens. You'll often hear people complain, that's the problem with my husband, he never listens. Or that's the problem with my wife. When you're able to listen, you're giving somebody a gift that they can't get anywhere else. That 90% of that history, it's kind of hard to stay tuned in when you do it again and again and again and again. But when the technology does it for you and presents the data to you, it's quick. It takes really 20 or 30 seconds to review it. Then you can listen because you have the energy for it. It's a very different environment, and it actually works. So that listening gift that you give somebody, it is an incredibly powerful patient relationship builder. So that get their story. That's like the big, huge pillar in the middle of the structure. That's it. Second pillar, patient empowerment through shared decision-making. So there's, I don't know what you call it, a hat tip, just a pretend about shared decision-making. Do you want to take diclofenac or meloxicam? It's like, that's not shared decision-making. Shared decision-making is when you've actually shown the patient what's going on. You have a deep understanding of the patient's story. I have horrible pain. It keeps me from sleeping. It keeps me from being able to be intimate. It has all these other problems okay, the story. You know the story. It enables you to meet them where they are. And when you can do that, then you can have shared decision-making because you know their story. And then you can present to them what they're really looking for. In the recent past, I can't remember the date, the 21st Century Cures Act was developed. We've worked with the Open Notes software framework since the beginning of the practice we've been doing with the technology that we have. And it allows the patient to see every part of their medical record. Now, that's really great if they actually can see it and use it. Most of the time, they don't know how to do it. Portals, they just stink. They're no good. So if you could actually take that opportunity to use Open Notes, that means the patient has access to the whole chart. Your notes, your progress notes, the lab, your comments on the lab, graphs, all that stuff. If you actually engage the patient in it, where you're not just saying, yeah, it's all there, good luck, you're actually engaging them. We put touchscreen TVs in each room. And our software actually presents it in a way that it's kind of like a teaching opportunity. So the touchscreen comes in, and our staff also uses iPods, so you don't have to go to the expense or trouble of actually installing a touchscreen. You can use an iPod, but the point is you want to sit with a patient, show them, share with them in the portal or in your own side an Open Notes format so that they know what's going on. You give them, logically, I'm looking at your lipid levels and they continue to rise, and now look at this great reduction you've had. So don't worry about the side effects. You're not having any and you're doing well. So they'll understand. Patients love to see their lab results graphed. And when you do prescriptions, when they're in and out of the office, at the end of a visit, you can pop the prescriptions on your iPod or on the touchscreen and show them everything. And they can help you. It's shared decision-making. They can say, oh, I stopped taking that 3 months ago. Really? I didn't know that. Why'd you quit? Well, I had a stomach ache. Okay, great. Well, let's take that off the list and do something else. So as you do that, you can talk about next steps and what they want to accomplish. Are you okay without it? Okay, great. Let's do that. So shared decision-making is not a buzzword. But I think so much of what we do, it's because of the insurance industry and things like that, you don't get the benefit of it. You don't get the power of it. Shared decision-making is a great way. Like any friend or any colleague, you really do want to share decision-making. You want to be on the same page. You know their story. You know what they want. You share what you have, and then you come to a mutual decision. With proper technology and the proper setting and the time that you have, you're being paid appropriately for your time, not 12 minutes for $1.50. You're actually working for the time. It all makes sense. That shared decision-making, the patient feels heard because you're listening. You're making decisions together. And it's probably, of the pillars, there's that story. That's probably the second most important pillar. And the third is completely unlimited capability to apply care, where you're not being limited by insurance, you're not being limited by payment structures, you're not being limited by preconceived notions of the insurance company that somehow they shouldn't be on formulary or it's experimental. You don't have to deal with that. So one of the most compelling reasons for going cash is you have absolute freedom to treat patients without interference from third-party meddlers. You have to provide the standard of care. That's only reasonable. Standard of care is the minimum that you need to do to be legally okay in a malpractice suit. We're providing care that's way better than that, and actually far exceeds what's available in an insurance-limited situation because there are no limitations. My experience with complex illness, it's just been really honestly heartbreaking in the past, because you have a treatment or a medication that you could use, and the patient doesn't have the resources or money or whatever under their insurance to do it. And the system isn't set up properly for that. And so you can't do it. Curative treatment, I'm not talking about management, I'm talking about curative treatment. It's not available. So denial of payment for specific treatments that are curative is kind of a common thing in the insurance context. But outside of the insurance context, when you have cash, you can actually negotiate with the patient, share decision-making, say, this is going to be $1,200 for these tests, and this may actually resolve your problem. Here's some treatments for it that will work. Then you can make that shared decision work. And I had a lady recently thank me, literally, quote, for not taking insurance, because she got everything she needed in one day instead of making multiple visits to the office. She's busy. She's got a family. She's got a lot of stuff going on. And she actually said, the next time she came in, my husband told me, whatever I pay, you can double it, because she was so happy. And when you know the patient story and you've made a shared decision regarding the care plan, the insurance should never enter into the picture. And unfortunately, if you practice, you know every day prior authorization and ridiculous form filling until your practice has developed the 3 pillars of healthy relationship, you're unlikely to experience the freedom and really enjoy it. I mean, it is fun to practice. Sometimes it's hard for people to believe, but it's fun to practice when you have the freedom to do what you know is right, and your patients, and you create agreement, and then you see the results. We actually have a joke in the practice. I tell patients when they come in, I said, I'm going to listen to you, and you're going to tell me what to do. Or you're going to tell me what's wrong. Then you're going to tell me what to do. Then I'm going to do it. You're going to get better, and I'm going to get the credit. It really works. Patients know what's going on if you can listen to their story. And if you're free to do what they know that they need, which is resolve those symptoms, make them feel well, you, with your skills and your judgment and your experience, you do that, you're going to see results. And you can only do it in a cash context. You can try to do it in an insurance context, but man, you're going to be running uphill hard. So if you want to provide the highest level of care, totally unlimited by third-party interference, I'm just going to say, understand a story. Give the patient the ability to share and really give them the opportunity to participate. If they're not bright or catching it at the level, just speak in a more understandable way. Everybody's pretty much capable of understanding what getting better is. They know that. And then do what you know is right, unlimited by insurance. So the foundation has a lot of benefits, and building on these pillars is going to increase patient loyalty. Then that makes referrals. And then you're going to see you have a lot of patients coming to you for the kind of things that you're really good at, and you're going to have a lot of really good outcomes. Your practice will run more efficiently, and you'll be so much happier. You'll spend a lot less time doing things that just burn you out. So in our next episode, I love this, we're going to share our Declaration of Independence. So you can join us and secure freedom for your practice. So in the meantime, send us any questions that come to mind, and we'll do our best to answer them. And we're going to do a recap in a couple episodes, and we'll do that. And if you haven't already, we have that cashpracticesolution.com website scorecard. So you go to the scorecard, and we'll actually be able to look at that scorecard and analyze your situation and help to guide you through the process of becoming cash practice doctors. So thanks for tuning in to the Cash Practice Solution podcast. I'm Dr. J. And until next time, listen to your patients. I guess I've probably driven that home. Learn their stories and love them with all your heart. You'll be unstoppable.
Thanks for joining us. And if you have enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with insights to help your cash-based practice thrive. And don't forget to check out all the tools and resources available at cashpracticesolution.com. They're free to you, and we're always adding more. Keep raising the bar in patient care. We'll reconnect in the next episode with more ways to help you succeed.